Hello all, welcome back. In today's lecture, we are going to cover some portions from Module 1. In this lecture, we are going to cover three portions: the history of Indian Railways, role in development, and modern trends in Indian Railways. The transportation system is mainly divided into three categories: land transportation system, water transportation system, and air transportation system. Most of the people depends on land transportation system than the other two way of transportation. The land transportation system is again classified into land-based, highways or railways. So in this subject, we are going to deal with the railway engineering system or the railway transportation system. So first, we will look at the history of Indian railways. You may be familiar with these years, or some of you may know what are the important days that should be remembered when we travel on a train. The first train, when was the first train run in our country, where to where was its journey. So you need not by heart these years for writing your KTU exams, but definitely learning these facts will help you to advance your general knowledge pool. So the first proposal for a railway network in India was at 1832 and was in Madras. But that remained as a dream on the paper. Later, several trial runs were done and some experimental rail lines were installed. But the successful train journey was at 1853, April 16th, in between Bombay and Thane. Later, the first passenger train ran at 1854 from Howrah to Hooghly. Then several evolutions happened to our Indian railway network system in the past years. In 1872, AC coaches were introduced. In 1873, first meter gauge service from Delhi to Rewari. Then in 1880, Darjeeling Himalayan railways were installed. In 1952, the Northern Railway, Eastern Railway, and Northeastern Railway divisions were installed. Then a tremendous change happened after 1977. The metro were installed at Kolkata in 1984. Then the Delhi Metro in 2002. Then 2014, the first monorail was launched in India. So these years will show the evolution of Indian railway system from the first steam engine to the most modern engine running now through our country. If anyone asks me what is the role of Indian railways in the national development, right off the bat I will say it is the lifeline of India. Indian railways connects the people together across the length and breadth of the country. Indian Railway covers about 63,000 kilometers through its network. It is the largest network in Asia and the second largest in the whole world. Indian Railways have significances on economic, political, and social fields of our country. So, in the next few slides, we will discuss what are the economic significance, what are the political significance, and what are the social significance of our railway network in our country. So, discussing the economic significance. It ensures the fruits of developments are distributed far and wide within the country. It facilitates large-scale production by increasing mobility of raw materials, workers, consumption of heavy materials, bulky and perishable commodities by cheap and speedy transportation. This is a main point that to be highlighted. The railway network is cheap and it is speedy than any other mode of transportation. It contributed to time-distance convergence. It brought stability and uniformity in prices. So in a nutshell, the development of railway network helped our country to attain an economic stability through its large network and the time distance convergence. Looking to the political significance of railway network, it connects the different parts of the country with its good network. Thus, it helps in mixing of culture and it definitely contributes to the national defense. In another way, it helps to maintain the law and administration of our country. And if we move to social significance, we can get an idea that it brought revolutionary changes in our social values, beliefs, and way of living. It promoted the mobility of people, and that helped the people to adapt new social values emerged based on the reason and scientific thinking. It strengthened our communal integrity and nurtured our cultural diversity. So, in altogether, railway development made a strong impact or put its signature in the overall development of our economy, our social status, and our national integrity. We can summarize the role of our railway network system using this diagram. We can see that it connects all the platforms or all the sources of our country. Through the development of railway network, it connects the production, the distribution, the consumption in all together. And it also helps the government, the finance, the advertising agencies, the defense, the communication systems, etc. And it also connects the raw materials, the manpower, the market, the equipments and supplies, the fuel and power. So in all together it connects all the fields that are necessary for the overall development of our country. So it is an inevitable thing. Nowadays, railways are very essential for the smooth movement and for connecting different parts of our country. That helps us to improve our economic status. Railways converted barren lands to green fields and well-grown cities. It helps in manufacturing processes as well. So, for the industrial establishments or for starting new firms, people will select some places where the rail connectivity is available so that they can bring their raw materials to their site in a cheapest way and in a speedy way. So we can say that railway plays an important role for the urban development of our country. Next we will look at are the modern developments in our railway, especially on our Indian railway systems. Nowadays, we all are familiar with the electric engines. We all are familiar with the diesel engines. We all are familiar with the steam engines. We all are familiar with coal engines. But nowadays, some modern trends are there instead of using these engine mechanisms. The first one is the light rail transit system. And the advanced form of light rail transit system is the mass rapid transit systems. And the most modern trends are tube railways and high-speed tracks. So in the following slides, we will discuss in detail about all these modern developments in railway. First one, the light rail transit systems or LRTS. You may be familiar with trams. The trams running through the Kolkata streets. In good olden days, the trams were all over in India, in almost all metro cities, Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, Kolkata, etc. But later on, it were withdrawn from Chennai, Mumbai and Delhi. Now, it is still running on the streets of Kolkata as part of heritage. So, those were some modern trends on that era, but it were replaced by our modern metros. So what is this light rail transit systems? These are the modern forms of those trams. The light rail transit system are the system of railways usually powered by overheaded electrical wires and used for medium capacity local transportation in metropolitan areas. These are light rail vehicles, and these are the technological outgrowth of trams. The light rail transit lines are more segregated from street traffic than are tramways, but less so than our rapid transit lines. The exclusive right of way and separation may vary from 40 to 90% of the total length of the network. So the light transit systems have a separate right of way, but the trams were occupied in the middle of the road, or it occupies as the streets or the pathways or the crosswalks, etc. So that was little bit that was not good. That idea was not good, and that increases the traffic congestion sometimes. So for that reason only, the authorities were forced to withdraw those trams from the streets. But they developed some modern equipments like light rail transit systems and provided a separate way for them, so that they reduced the traffic congestions caused by those trams. They have a separate right of way, and those exclusive right of way and separation may vary from 40 to 90% of the total length of the network. They use tunnels or elevated tracks in congested areas that helped those light transit systems to move fast, and that indirectly helped the other vehicles on the street to move fast. So the traffic congestions caused by these light rail transit systems were minimal. And the main advantage of this light rail transit system are it can be upgraded to mass rapid transit systems. So it is possible, but the trams were all designed, and so they cannot be modified into a new form. That was their main disadvantage. But the light transit systems can be upgraded to mass rapid transit systems. Looking into the advantages of these LRTS, they uses the prime most important advantage is it uses the predominantly reserved right of way. It have its own way, so there won't be any traffic congestions caused due to these LRTS. And they are electrically propelled rail vehicles. Usually they are singly running rail vehicles or a 4-axle cars up to 5 units. They are capable of loading passengers from the street level or medium level or high level platforms. They can be operated in subways, on streets, on elevated structures, in exclusive right of way, with or without grade crossings, in the medians of highways, and on an abandoned railroad right of way. So it can be installed anywhere. So finding a path for these LRTS is not a big deal. So we can install everywhere, anywhere. It's possible. The vehicle has a driving control at both ends. That's also another advantage of this LRTS. And it has a maximum speed of 60 km per hour and an average speed of 15 to 25 km per hour. And now it's a time to analyze or study about what all are the disadvantages of these LRTS. The main disadvantages of this LRTS is its low speed. It can travel only up to a maximum speed of 60 km per hour. Nowadays, in a metro city like Kolkata, it's not enough. Or a city like in Bengaluru or Delhi, it's not enough. This speed is not enough. And the second disadvantage is its long carrying capacity. It can carry only up to 100 or 125 passengers. And the third one is the reduction of overall capacity of roads. Whatever it may be, whatever it may be, it will take some right of way from the road. So it may cause some traffic congestion also. Now we will look at it. What are these mass rapid transit systems? The mass rapid transit system is an advanced form of those LRTs. If there is no MRTs nowadays, the people will be forced to take their own personal modes of transportation such as two-wheelers and cars. That will definitely increase the traffic congestion. It will increase the consumption of those non-renewable resources of energy, and this will increase the emission of carbon dioxide that will cause an atmospheric pollution. So in order to reduce all these, we have to depend upon these mass rapid transit systems. It is generally refers to a fully grade separated heavy rail metro system. It carries a large volumes of passengers quickly. The carrying capacity is very high comparing to the LRTs. It can carry about 25,000 passengers per hour per direction, and it can move in a speed of 100 km per hour. It is fast, reliable, safe and comfortable. The energy requirement per passenger kilometer is 1/5 than any other transportation systems. So nowadays we all are depending upon these mass rapid transit systems. Even we are blessed with our Kochi metro. So in almost all congested cities, now they are fully depending upon these mass rapid transit systems for easy moving, and we can reach our destinations quickly in a cheaper way. Depending these mass rapid transit systems will definitely help to reduce our atmospheric pollutions also. Next we will look at what are these tube railways. It is most common, it's not common in our country, but it's common in the developed nations like United Kingdoms, United States of America, etc. Now we are planning to install these tube railways in our country also. Some works were going on in Chennai for the tube railway systems. The term tube railway may refer to an atmospheric railway. Why it is an atmospheric railway? Because it uses the differential air pressure to provide power for propulsion of the vehicle. And it is an underground railway constructed in a circular tunnel by the use of a tunneling shield. The main purpose of having these deep railway tunnels is to avoid the interference of railway lines with water and oil or drainage pipes, etc., which are laid below the ground. The railway stations are generally in the cylindrical form, and the passengers depends upon the escalators or lifts to reach these underground railway stations. They depends upon the automatic signaling through the track circuiting systems. Mechanism of the train is such that it cannot start until all the doors are closed. And the tunnels for the tube railways have been constructed to a depth of 18 meters below the ground level. So this is considered as the most modern trend in our railway systems. And the next one is high-speed tracks. These tracks allows operation of trains at a speed more than 120 km per hour. These are mainly divided into two categories: high-speed tracks and super high-speed tracks. High-speed tracks are modified traction like diesel and electric traction instead of steam traction. If the train moves in between a speed of 120 to 250 km per hour, it is categorized as high-speed tracks. And if the speed is more than 250 km per hour, then it is called super high-speed tracks. So that's all on today's lecture. We discussed about the role of Indian Railways in the economic and social development of our country. Then we walked through the history of our Indian railway systems. Then we learned about the modern trends in the railway network systems. We discussed about the light rail transit system LRTS, then MRTS, tube railways and high-speed tracks. In the next lecture, we will discuss more about the alignment of tracks. What all are the considerations to be taken into account while we design a railway track? So, see you there with the next lecture. Take care. Bye.